Hello, everybody. Welcome to Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. I am your host, BMR, and as always, I'm joined by the bearded one, Tex. We've got a great show for you. Dave Scott from spacedoutradio, who will be joining us momentarily. If you have not subscribed to spacedoutradio, Dave Scott, please do so. You don't know what you're missing if you have not already. In fact, if this is your first time here, please subscribe, give a thumbs up, hit the alert bell, and share with friends. You can find us on YouTube at Texas Front Porch and at Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. You know what? We're also on Odyssey Radio, iHeartRadio, and KPNL Radio. Thank you to the lovely Ann Celine for that one. Wherever there's podcasts being broadcast, we're there, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Spreaker Radio. You can find us on Facebook at Texas Front Porch. You can also reach us by email at purecryptidencounters@gmail.com or by text at 972-559-0988. Don't forget, once again, subscribe to Texas Front Porch, Bigfoot, Michigan Rob on YouTube. If you enjoy our content, would like to support us, the Super Chat. Everybody, the Super Chat is always available. Please hook us up. You can Venmo us at @ text 6717. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We got a great show. If Tex wants to fade out the music, I'm going to bring up Tex before I bring up Dave, and I got something to ask Tex here before we get rolling. Tex, thanks for that. How are you doing, buddy?
Good.
You know, last night we were doing a show, Jason McLean Questions Everything. Great show, by the way. Great show. I think we had a record 75 people in chat or something. And, you know, I had problems until I got my makeshift studio, right? Now I finally got what I want. My internet's supreme. My video's supreme. Even on Dave's show, I used to blink out. You know, it's so embarrassing. Last night, Tex, you had a similar problem that I had halfway through the show. The storms in Texas, man, they're raging, and we lost you. Well, actually, you were smart, and you had the foresight to cut it a little early. So, hey, did you lose any trees, man? Is the shed in the back still standing? What's going on, man?
The shed in the back's fine. The studio is still under construction. We do have some tree limbs that are down, nothing big. But I thought I heard it start hailing, you know, because we were sitting there talking and it hit pretty hard. I mean, everybody heard it. You know, the thunder hit right behind me and the lightning lit up the room. And I'm like, and then I thought I heard some hail on the roof. And I'm like, okay, well, do a preemptive strike here and I'll go ahead and cut it off because I don't, you know, because one, I needed to go take a look, see how things were doing, make sure the dogs weren't climbing up the ceiling and stuff. So, because I could hear my boxer outside my door. She starts to pace back and forth, and got hardwood floors, and her nails click, 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 click. So I'm hearing this outside the door. There's thunder and the lightning, and so yeah, I jumped off, but everything's fine. Everything's fine.
That's great to hear because I know when that happens, it's very frustrating. And you know, Tex, I'm going to bring up Dave here. And hey, Dave, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, guys.
You know, before we get into this, Dave, I do have to make mention of something. I was going through some shows, and I've got to say, Dave, this is the 4th time you've been on Brunch with Bigfoot Rob, along with Tex. And the thing that I want to say about this is not the accolades that this is a record for Dave on our show, which I appreciate. What I do appreciate, Dave, for those of you that don't know, Dave he resides in British Columbia. And you know what? Dave's got a daytime job. He does spaced out radio. He's blocking hour and a half of his day today to be with me and Tex, and for all you lovely people out there in our audience. Dave, that means a world to me. You've done this 4 times. You're a busy guy. I appreciate you coming on because I know you're busy, and that does mean the world. And I know Tex probably can offer the same sentiment. I thank you. Thank you so much for joining once again, my friend.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. And, you know, this is a very small community. I mean, yes, there are literally thousands of podcasts and YouTube channels out there that are dealing with the same, but in relatively big terms, this is a small community. And when you have friends who get along away from the microphone, and I consider both of you guys friends, and you have very similar audiences, like looking in your chat room, there's a lot of familiar names that are in my chat room. And when you bring it all together, that's how we are able to have the ability to really, really make mention of the subjects we cover on a proper sense. And I think it's great. I love the fact that you guys are in my chat room. I check in with you guys during the day when I'm at work and a little bit bored and not too busy. But we all got to work together. We all have the same communal message, and it really shows in the audience too, because when the audience is the same in the chat rooms, it really helps out, because that they feel they are getting the proper messages and the proper information in order to maybe solve some of these mysteries down the road, or at least get the proper information that others are not providing. And so kudos to you guys for doing a great show, and I love it. And I have for either of you, it's very tough for me to say no. Very tough. So that's what friendship does, and it's great.
Well,
Thanks for
Dave,
that,
I got, yeah, man, I appreciate that. It's humbling. It really is. And this is actually the first time that me and you have talked. You and Rob stay in touch quite a bit, and
Yeah.
it's we don't get to converse as much as y'all do, me and you. But because I think this is the first time that we've actually spoken all the since Jessica did the remote viewing on my time loss incident, found out what happened, and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it should be an interesting show, because I'm sure you've got questions about that. I've got questions about that. And I don't know, Dave, man, it's some weird stuff going on, but it's great to have, like you said, it's great to have friends, a support system. It's very important that someone does. And you, much like us, give people that support system. You'll give them a safe place to talk about what happened to them without going, oh, well, you're crazy, you're lying, blah blah blah. You're full of shit. And I got to tell you, it's one thing I've always admired about you, Dave. And
Thank you.
I'm not just blowing your dress up for you. I'm telling you, like it is. It's one thing I've always admired for you about you. You're down to earth. You don't mind listening to somebody that's had issues or is having issues dealing with an encounter or whatever, and you'll do your damnedest to help them out. You're like us. Even if it's just an ear to bend, there you are.
Well,
Because this does traumatize people.
I have made some mistakes in the past, and whether it's getting involved with the wrong people, or being a big mouth, or whatever it may be, and it's not easy.
No.
It really isn't easy, and I've made my fair share of mistakes, and I've owned up to them, and I've made my fair share of friends, and I'm sure I've made my fair share of enemies as well. I mean, we're not all going to get along in this field, but it's how you react to what is going on. I mean, what a lot of people don't see is you, you know behind the scenes. It's a facade where they know us as hosts, as you know almost a celebrity type in the field of what we do. And that's why these great people come to us to listen to us, to see what we're doing and how we do things and get our opinions and how we, the people that we interview. But there's a real humanity behind the scenes that I don't think a lot of people quite understand. And that, at times we do have feelings, we do have a heart, we do have, abilities to screw up. We do have everything. And sometimes even myself, I lose cognizance on that, and I have to be reeled down to earth. I mean, there's somebody in your chat room right now. I don't know whether or not I should mention her, but I mean, she reeled me back to earth a couple weeks ago because I did something stupid and she called me out on it. And you know what? I'm better off for it. I'm better off for it, and I absolutely love this person and her husband. I mean, they're both great people. But sometimes you need a little bit of a kick in the ass in order to smarten yourself up, and you have to realize that not everybody's like you and you're not like everybody else and they're not like you. And you got to keep everybody's opinions and hold them with the highest regard. And, that's the message I learned. I mean, it's ever evolving. It's ever evolving in this entire field. It's ever evolving in what we do. And as you guys get bigger and as I get bigger and we start gaining more audience together, you hope that rubs off because you want to build a foundation where you feel comfortable sending your audience. Like I have no problem with my audience coming in and supporting you guys. No problem, because I know they are going to get good information. They're not going to get BS. They're not going to get, a bunch of trivial conspiracy theories that cannot be proven. I know that there's trust in hand when you do that. And we have to make sure that, like you're delivering your audience to whoever you choose to, and you're going to support, you're going to tell your audience, hey, this person has a great show, or she has a great show, or this person has a great YouTube channel. And they're going to pick up on that. They're going to trust your word. And that's all we can do, is try and guide people to proper information and try and be, as human as possible about it, rather than trying to think that your crap doesn't stink. And, who cares what anybody thinks? And, hey, we have to be able to personify who we want to be on the air as well. We don't want to be different people. I mean, Rob and I have talked about this ad nauseum about, how do you create an audience? How do you keep them? How do you try and build on what you have? And it's all about relationships. And let's face it, guys, without the audience, what we do would be pretty lonely.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt.
Certainly
Go ahead, Rob.
And Dave, it's such a great message you just delivered, because I know Tex brought up he had this abduction. Okay, now on this show again, as I made mention earlier, you've been on the show again several times. We've spoken on the angel of death in the past, alien abduction, Carl in the window, your Bigfoot encounters, or at least one of them, the gifting site, the triangle over the home, aliens in the woods with Samantha. And I think this is kind of a cool show, a little bit for Tex, because Dave, you are an experiencer. And I got to tell you something. I talk to Tex quite often, especially after what happened. It was Jessica Jones had a show, and she did the in-depth remote view on what happened to Tex with his time loss. I interviewed Tex a month later, and Tex still, he's reeling. He's much reeling like I reeled from my Bigfoot encounter. And Dave, as an experiencer yourself, what impact did that have on you when you woke up one day and said, "Man, I think I was taken"?
That's actually a great question. Fast forward now, it's kind of like, damn it happened again. but going back, to when it first happened. It's weird. I was excited it happened the first time. The second and third times that I recall, they weren't too bad, so I didn't mind. But it was that fourth time that I recalled that absolutely petrified me. It petrified me. And, that's where I threatened the alien. I said, I'm coming back. I'm coming back for you. It was that, I'm going to use a hockey term here. Go figure. It was a don't get mad, get even sort of thing. And, that little
I think your internet's breaking up a little bit, Dave. I don't know if you can
bastard, he needs to pay the price. Sorry, guys. They're working on the internet in my town right now.
All right. No worries.
But no, that little bastard did some stuff to me, and no, I didn't get anal probed, but he did some stuff to me that I wasn't too happy about. And when I was debating on chasing him on his own ship, that's where he threw me another wrench, where I saw a little baby following him, like a toddler just learning to walk, following him. And, that hit me. Like it was a little humanoid child wearing a diaper, and the diaper was luminescent green with red and black veins running through the diaper. And it hit me. It hit me hard. And next thing I know, I'm in bed. I mean, but like the last time I recall getting taken was about 3-4 weeks ago, where mine usually start off as a dream state. Okay, where I think I'm dreaming. So in this instance, I was dreaming. I was having a conversation with Brandon Fugel, owner of Skinwalker Ranch, and him and I were chatting UFOs and skinwalkers, and we were on a driveway, but not just like of a mansion or anything like that. Like the old subdivision, how in the 70s they built all those houses that look the same. In British Columbia, we call them BC box houses.
Yeah, we call them cookie cutter neighborhoods down here.
Yeah. So, you got the single driveway with the carport. You then go up to the front door. You got a stairway going down, and you got a stairway going up. I hate those houses. Hate them.
Right.
And long story short, Brandon and I, and this is in my dream state, are having talking UFOs. And I hear some rustling to the left of me. And we're right outside the carport. The carport light is on. And I turn to my left, and I see this alien gray coming out of the bushes. But what's really interesting about this alien gray is that his almond-shaped eyes are not black. They're green, much like the green you're using for the name tags on the screen. That bright, beautiful Seattle Seahawks type green. And then this gray showed me 3 black triangles. Showed me one at night with the corners lit up. Second one would be dusk with the corners lit up. And then the third one was daytime, except the black triangle wasn't black. It was that metallic silver that, that jet fighters are made out of. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, as I was concentrating on this with the pictures, I felt the gravitational pull that you get as an experiencer, where, it's kind of like being on the gravitron at the local, the local town fair, where that gravitron that spins you, sucks you against the wall. That's what it feels like. And I'm like, dude, I'm not going. dude, I'm not going. You're not taking me. And next thing you know, I wake up at home. My head is killing me. And it's killing me in the same spot where I got implanted the first time. And you're like, God damn it. Here, nothing I can do. So I don't want to say I'm getting used to it, because I've never really had that ultimate bad experience, but I don't know why. I don't think there's any answers to why. And that's what bugs me about it.
Well, I don't recall anything of what happened to me. And I don't know if we've talked about this publicly, or if I've said what I'm going to do, because I've made the decision I'm going to do it. I'm going to do regression hypnotherapy and see what I can find out. I don't know what, honestly, I don't know, because I've never had it done. I've never been hypnotized before. I don't even know if I can be hypnotized, but we're going to give it a shot, and we're going to record all the sessions. And honestly, guys, depending on how they go, I'll release them. That's going to be a judgment call after I see what happens. But if I'm comfortable with releasing all of it or part of it, I'm going to. But it's kind of because I'm one of these people that that's why I don't get falling down drunk. I've never done drugs, because I don't like to feel out of control of myself, And I think that's what's really bothering me, is there's evidently a portion of time that I cannot account for my actions. So I need to know what went on. The only thing I know was I didn't go down without a fight, which for some reason that comforts me a little bit. But it's going to be an interesting journey. Could be a very terrifying journey for me. I don't know, but I don't know what I would do if I could remember like you. Honestly, I don't know, because I've never dealt with anything like this before. So that's a leg up you have on me,
I think the story's kind of contrasting. You both are experiencers, and Dave, I don't know that you've had regression therapy. I don't know what your thoughts is on that, but isn't that something that, if you go through this, it can bring out some really deep, dark things that maybe you don't want to know?
No, it's and that's a good question, Rob. It's really opened my mind to what are the prospects of what can we do. Okay, whether it's astral travel, whether it's remote viewing, out of body experiences, absolutely everything to go along with it. Communication, telepathy, much like a Robin McCrae. Everything that goes along with it. It's a journey, right? And this is where my hero in this field, Grant Cameron, I believe really has it right. And that is, I always like to put it this way on Spaced Out Radio. When you open that first door to enter the woo zone, the first thing you see is 10 doors right in front of you. And you go to that first door of the 10, you open that door, there's another 10 behind that door. You come back, you go to the second door, you open that door, there's another 10. So it goes 10, 100, 1,000. There's always doors. And what Grant Cameron does is instead of opening multiple doors at once, he follows that trail to see wherever it goes. Where does the information take him? Where does his research lead to? And then when the path ends or comes to a halt, he then trickles on back, goes to the next door, and starts opening doors once again. And I really appreciate that about him. Now, the biggest difference between somebody like me and Grant Cameron is, number one, he has 50 years of research. I'm not a researcher. I'm an experiencer, and I am a journalist by trade. And I don't have the time to delve into what he does. And so that's why I watch very closely the paths that he takes. Now, a lot of people in the field have turned on him and said that he is a nut bar. He's this. He's gone off the deep ends from what he was originally supposed to do. And I look at it and I see the sheer brilliancy of it all. I really do. So, no, it doesn't scare me, Rob. I'm not afraid of, outside of maybe seeing a dog man, I'm not afraid of seeing anything, because I think the possibilities are out there. What it does is it really pushes my curiosity to want to know more, to want to see more, to wanting to experience more. I mean, I look at the Bigfoot experience I had, where I saw the two creatures back in 2013. I'd give anything to have that happen again. I'd give anything to have that UFO landing that I witnessed from 150 yards away. I would love to see that again with the knowledge that I have today. Because I know with the knowledge I have today, I sure as hell would have went up to that craft. The knowledge I have today, I would have went up with Samantha, held Samantha's hand, and walked to those aliens in the forest and met them. Okay? Like, there's so much I would do differently. Because of what? Yeah, go ahead.
No. I mean, you just say you made mention you yourself 4 times that you know of, that you're aware of, and text being 1 time. So do you think that once abducted, man, you're open to this now, and you're more open minded and you welcome it, except for that 1 time? But now, do you think that this just follows people once you've had an experience? Now you're more prevalent to more visitations.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think Tex is going to find out very soon, once he goes through his regression, that it's happened more than once.
Okay.
And I think, he's going to be ready for whatever he needs to do.
I see people talking in the chat and stuff, and Danny Staten is kind of climbing all over us about, ask the hard questions. All right, fine. We ask the hard questions. And evidently his hard question is, do you have any pictures? Do you have any proof? Do you have any audio? Do you have anything?
I love this question.
To support your claims. So I'm going to let you run with it, Dave.
So I'm gonna start off with asking a question with a question. What is proof? Think about that for a second. The skeptics are going to go nuts when I say that. But what is proof? This is the only field, and I'm saying whether it's cryptids, whether it's UFOs, whether it's ghosts, this is the only field where, for some reason, anecdotal evidence does not count for shit. Yet, with all the experiences people have had within this field, and I will get to the answer to that question, by the way. I'm just going through an explanation right now. With all the people who have had experiences like yours, Tex, like mine, like Rob's, or whoever's listening, we have more information built together that would put someone in jail for life in a court of law. Yet, for some reason, in our field, it's not acceptable. Anecdotal evidence is not acceptable. And look, I understand why, guys. Social media has ruined the story. Okay? Has ruined the anecdotal evidence, because there are enough people out there who've come and gone and are still out there today who have ruined it by their own self-aggrandizing of a situation. They want their 15 minutes of fame. They don't want the 5 minutes. They want the full 15. And I get that. Do I have proof as in a photograph? No. Do I have proof as in a video? No. So how can I base my answers? I have a story. Realistically, I have a story that I have chosen to go public with for the last number of years. Do I have eyewitnesses with me? Yes, I do. Can they corroborate what I've seen? Yes, they can. Okay. However, this field demands that video. They demand that photograph. They demand that audio recording, which is the correct thing to do. Okay. Extraordinary events require extraordinary information in order to, make it provable. But what most people don't understand is the phenomena isn't nuts and bolts. It isn't what the scientists are looking for. They may be able to prove the phenomena or study the phenomena, but you can't experience the phenomena because you never know when it's going to happen. And the other answer I like to give on that is this. When you see something extraordinary that isn't supposed to exist happen right in front of you, number one, it's usually for a fleet second. Number two, it's screwing you up internally so bad because your mind cannot comprehend what your eyes are seeing that the last thing you remember to do is grab your phone and take a picture.
Right.
Okay. But number three, I'll give you a prime example of this. My buddy and I, 2 years ago, we're heading out into the forest to get some food. Got the chainsaw in the back of the truck, all our gear, some lunch and everything. And we're going to go kick some ass on some trees. And, then makes for a nice warm winter for Dave at home. And we're driving along, shooting the breeze in the truck. And all of a sudden, I hammer the brakes because right in front of us, the biggest lynx cat I have ever seen walks right onto the road and stops right in front of us. Now, here's my phone. I'm standing there looking at this. I can't believe it. I'm taking it all in. All of a sudden, it comes into my head. Maybe I should take a picture. Yeah, okay. So now I start acting like an idiot with no thumbs trying to get my phone going. I drop my phone in my vehicle, pick it back up. Literally, I see the lynx cat look at me, shake its head like I'm standing here posing for you, take the goddamn picture. And I'm fumbling and bumbling over a cat. And finally, the lynx you see the lynx, he's like, you're an idiot. Shakes his head, walks into the ditch. Okay, I finally get my phone going. And instead of having that beautiful picture of this gorgeous cat, I have a blob squatch sitting in a ditch. And I'm trying to find the photo right now to show you exactly what I mean. Well, that's my resident bear. When I find the photo, I will let you know. But the idea behind it, yeah, there it is. There's my nice blob squatch of a lynx across the road beside me. And yeah. I had to actually ask that cat. I said, "Look, I'm sorry, I didn't get it before."
You stop for a moment.
You just stop so I could grab a picture. That's the original picture that I zoomed in on. Great job, Dave. This thing is 40 feet in front of my truck, clear as day, and that's the photo I end up with.
Yeah.
Right? How stupid am I? But you get a little fidgety. You don't think about it. Now imagine if that was an alien or a ghost or a Sasquatch or a dogman, where now you're putting fear into your body. You're scared. You don't know what to think. Your brain's telling you this is real. Your eyes are saying, damn rights, this is real. Let's get the hell out of here. Right?
Yep.
So, I mean, that's where it comes down to what is proof? Because the other thing we have to remember, guys, is this. There is a large group in this community that is no longer accepting videos or photos unless they've taken them themselves, because so many people have tried to pull the wool over people's eyes. I got the greatest video footage of ever, and you look in the sky and it's Jupiter, but they're moving their phone to make it look like Jupiter is moving.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there's all this crap and dropping the phone and all this, like it's textbook.
Yeah.
So a lot of the experts are not even accepting photographs and video anymore because it could be doctored. People don't know how to shoot a camera. They don't know how to zoom in, or they zoom in so far that you get the pixelation, and they're like, oh, there's the eyes in there. No, that's a leaf.
Yeah. Too, and on the flip side of all of this, and the links, that's a perfect example. It's like, and when you get that photo, you get that video, the three of us have had encounters of all sorts. I've had one text, but let's say that you luck out and you get that great video. We all know what I'm going to say next, and you post it. Oh, well, it's CGI. You just want your 15 minutes of fame. There's no way that existed. So really, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, right?
Mm-hmm. But Rob, that's my question. What is proof?
Right.
And honestly, Dave, to answer that question, the best I can, proof varies from individual to individual.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo. Explain. Okay, we were talking about this on Spaced Out last night. Okay, how many times have you heard or been around individuals where you're having an experience and the people right beside you are having nothing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They don't
We're
see
hearing
it.
that more and more.
Oh, yeah. So the question is, why is it happening to you and not to them? And I got a Bigfoot story over that. So when on my friend's property, we used to do perimeter walks around the property. And it was insane because this one time there was 4 of us. And we were walking around. We went way back to the fence line at the back end of the property. They had 10 acres. And there was these little ponds that were, kind of down into a little grove, but not a big grove, like maybe 20, 30 feet down. And you would hear splashing. Like as we were walking back, it sounded like a beaver's tail slapping the water really hard. But the problem is there was no beavers in that area. Okay. You don't get beavers on top of a mountain. You get them at the bottom where the water is.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just really interesting because as we walked forward, we had the splashing, and then we walked through the field towards the house. And that's where I got the feeling that we were being watched. And one other person out of the 4 of us got that same feeling. And when I turned and looked, there was this old cherry tree that was standing there. And that's where I saw the pixelation from the ground to about 8-10 feet up. The one other person could see it. The other 2 couldn't. And they're like, there's nothing there. So 2 out of the 4 of us could actually see this. We kept walking because the other 2 were frustrated. They couldn't see anything. And we walked to the front of the house, and right by that damn cherry tree, man, we got roared at about 20 seconds later. Okay, and we all ran into the house because something big was there. Okay, so but why did two of the 4 not see that pixelation when it was clear as day? Like I'm looking at you guys right now. Bruce Maccabee's wife had that missing 411 hunters.
Mm-hmm.
Right? With the pixelation up in the trees, or that predator type of camouflage. How does that happen?
Yeah, I don't
Right? Go
personally.
ahead.
Personally, I don't think that's where we've been talking about. Not everything we're dealing with when we're looking at for Bigfoot, or we think we're seeing, but not all of this is Bigfoot.
No,
You know,
no.
so
And I will tell you this, guys, in the last 3 months, my opinion has changed quite a bit. I always believed there was this invisible string that tied it all together. Cryptids to UFOs to aliens to ghosts and everything. And I am even more convinced of that now. That's why if you listen to my show, I use the term the phenomenon a lot more now, because
mhm.
it's not ghosts. It's not has nothing to do with aliens. It has nothing to do with Bigfoot or gnomes or Dogman or anything like that. The phenomenon is everything. It is all connected. We all have that ability to connect with it. It's whether or not we choose to investigate, put the time and place into learning about it and how it works. Do we have all the answers? No. But the one thing about it is science will never prove the phenomena. The biggest mistake every scientific investigation is making here, and they're slowly starting to learn this, is that it's not the scientists who will find the answers. It's the experiencers who will bring the answers to them.
Yeah, and two, Dave, do this. Does science really want the answers? I mean, they might have the answers, but they're not going to expound on the answers, right? They want to keep that all under wraps.
Well, getting back to what you were talking about, y'all were talking about the videos, the photos, and everything like this. When to me, it all comes down to who you deem personally as a credible source, because as much as we like to say we don't trust the government, we don't believe the government, blah blah blah, and all this kind of stuff. What's the first thing that happened when the government came out and said, "Okay, yeah, they're real"? Oh, everybody's like, they believe this, they believe the videos they're putting out, everything. It's no different than anybody else putting that stuff out. It's really not when it comes down to the nut cutting. It's who we think is credible. Some people think I am. Some people think Rob is. Some people think Dave is. But they may not all agree that all of us are, and that's fine as long as you think one of us is. We've done our job. We've got the information and the truth out there. So, and that's what it's all about, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, you know what? And this is a I'm gonna steer this down a real sketchy path here for a second, guys. So please
Woo-hoo.
forgive me. I don't mean any harm by it. Okay, but this is the reason why having so many different podcasts and YouTube channels out there is dangerous right now. Because what's happened is when it was the days of all of this getting going, way before I started, way before you started, okay, there were very few shows. And what that did was listeners had to, if they wanted to hear about UFOs or Bigfoot, they had to learn where are these names. It all started with Art Bell and Coast to Coast, and then it started expanding from there. Okay, well, here's the problem with today. Because anybody and everybody is allowed to have their opinion and a microphone, and for a couple of bucks or for free, get started on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, what they've done is they have taken their opinion and they are now broadcasting it. Thousands upon thousands of people are doing this. Is that a bad thing? Not really. Is it dangerous in a way? Yes, it is. Here's why. Because what it's done is it's taken, let's say, Bigfoot, okay, where we had this box of information at first. Well, the more people who have different opinions and different thoughts, well, they've stretched that box out. So that box is now a very thin line. And what's happened is it's diluted the audience from having a generalized view of the subject to only focusing on what they believe in, if that makes any sense. So, for instance, if I'm someone who believes that Bigfoot are humans too, except they're really hairy, they live in the forest, but by God, they need voting rights, and we should register them up. There is that crowd out there. Or you take the BFRO way that states we're only dealing with an animal and an animal only, and anything else that's outside of an animal, you guys are screwed in the head. You have those people. You have Monkey Boy in Vancouver who runs around looking for the North American monkey. Okay, he's not changing his thoughts. You have Todd Standing out there who believes that these things carry a magic wand and can do whatever they want. So there are so many different idealisms about just Bigfoot alone that it's taken that box, thinned it right out, and the audience is only sticking with whom they trust, because that trust isn't built on knowledge. It's built, well, their opinion is the same as mine. Their feelings is the same as mine. Therefore, I don't need to shop everywhere else to look for different information when this person agrees with everything that I'm saying. And that's where they stay. So it's hard for you guys or myself or anybody else out there with a YouTube channel or a podcast who's trying to bring all the information together, bring all facets together, because a lot of the people just want what they want. It's like going to a buffet dinner and only choosing the orange Jello, even though you got red, purple, yellow, green, blue, or whatever. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, it does to me. It's almost like it's so saturated that even it comes to a point where you don't know. For me personally, what you just said, Dave, I could watch 100 shows, podcasts, listen on the radio, whatever, 100 different opinions, and everybody is different. And me as the consumer that listens to podcasts, radio shows, that can be confusing, and you don't know what message you're getting, right? And I think that would be frustrating. And in trying to build an audience and try to get out the message that you believe is, I don't even want to say the correct one, but one that we can at least agree upon, is very difficult, because it's just like Bigfoot. You've got people out there with the flesh and blood, you got the woo, you got all these factors. So one very in the very beginning for me, Dave, I didn't know what Bigfoot was. I still don't, and I don't claim to know what it is, but I still can't tell you if it's an animal. Is it a hybrid hominid? Is it from outer space? I mean, I can't tell you 100%. And every time I listen to somebody, I get a different story, which again confuses me. And I do this now. I've been doing this for a year now, and it's just so absorbent upon who you listen to, and who you're going to filter in and who you're going to filter out. So for people like our audience, it's tough for them. And I really appreciate the fact that at least they come to Space Out Radio and our channel, at least to get the information, that we do the best we can do, and that's all we can do.
That's it. That's it. I mean, where it goes, I mean, who knows? And Tex, I'm curious your thoughts on that too.
Well, it's like I said, it's like you said, people are going to choose, more than likely, somebody that supports the narrative that they already believe in. The problem is, and I've ran into this when before I started talking about this stuff and being on podcasts myself and everything, and I was just out there like everybody else, just listening. There's people that you listen to, that you believe, and then a few months or a few years down the line, you find something that taints that for you. You find something out that taints that view for you of those people. And I think, honestly, that's why we don't limit ourselves to one narrative. We can't. if you really want to get the truth out there, if you really want to make, get the awareness out there, you can't limit yourself to just going down one path as far as, the truth goes. You have to bring on, and I've said this before, we have to be open-minded enough to have an intelligent, civil conversation with each other. The woo versus the apers. But, if we can get those camps, and I'm just using those two as an example, if we can just get those two camps talking and just be open-minded just enough to go, what if? That's a huge step. So that's really what, we're striving to do. I think that's what you strive to do. You try to have open conversations. It doesn't matter what narrative they come from. There's stuff to learn from every camp. If we are willing to just go, what if? What if this, just because I've never witnessed this doesn't mean it didn't happen to somebody else. Does that make any sense?
Oh, I think it does.
It does. And Dave, if you want to respond to text after this break, we're coming up on the 52-minute mark that we do have to say goodbye to our Odyssey listeners and iHeartRadio listeners. If you want to catch the second half of the show, subscribe. Texas Front Porch, Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. And hey, for you guys that are going to come on over, we're on the radio side, Spaced Out Radio. Go subscribe. Dave Scott, awesome show. Wealth of knowledge. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Text if you want to find the button to take us out for a 5-minute break. Thank you to everybody in chat. We'll be back in 5.
Smoke them if you got them. We'll be right back. Four minutes to go, folks. 4 minutes. Three minutes. We're almost there. 2-minute warning, guys. 2-minute warning. One minute. 1 minute.
Well, we're back. We are back. Thanks to everybody for joining us here today. We have a great show. It's Dave Scott from spacedoutradio. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Spacedoutradio, Dave Scott. Subscribe to Texas Front Porch. Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. And of course, Jessica Jones, Crypto Country. Yeah, subscribe to her too. And Sturo Papers, Jason. We have 5 shows in 4 days. Mondays, Texas Front Porch, 3:30 Central. Wednesdays, Jason McLean questions everything that's on at 10 in the East. Thursday afternoon, 12 p.m., 12 Central, Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, brunch with. And then tonight, Sturo Papers, and Friday, Jessica Jones, Remote View Investigations. That is at 9 Central. So, Tex was just giving his opinion at the last segment there, Dave, and I know if you wanted to respond and an opinion on what Tex had to say, if we want to get this monkey rolling.
I apologize. I forget what he had said.
You know what, Dave? That's just fine. Because I think we all got it. You were nodding your head in agreement. We can move. We can move on from there.
I think we were just really reiterating that it was just we're
Even Tex forgets.
Yeah, you go
if
through.
You're relying on me to remember something, you're barking up the wrong tree. Because
I will summate it just like this. There's
so Rob's
many avenues.
The host, it's his responsibility.
There's so many. I was testing the memories, of the great Dave Scott, and Tex, I kind of figured you'd have forgot what you said, but in summation, hey, there's a million podcasts, there's a million radio shows. Opinions vary. You can get turned upside down in this field, much like I have each and every day. So you really don't know what to believe or what not to believe. But I did have a question. I was in a post and I asked it, and then Tex had cut in on his answer. But does science really want this? Do they want it resolved? They just want to keep it on the back burner?
Well, I don't know if there's any answers.
Right.
We all say that we want answers. I mean, look, there's ramifications to all of this stuff, guys.
Yeah.
All right. And that's what this takes us right down a beautiful rabbit hole, Rob. Do we really want the answers to what is going on? Do we really want the mystery of Bigfoot solved? Do we really want aliens solved? Do we really want to? I mean, you look at it. In the United States alone, there were over 50,000 ghost hunters. Over 50,000. how many of them are actually solving the mystery of life after death? Oh, well, you should hear this EVP I got. You should see this photograph of a shadow person I got. You want to screw up a paranormal investigator real bad? Ask them, what do you do with your evidence?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, look, there are ramifications for everything that most people don't think of. And in my stupid brain, this is what keeps me up at night. People don't understand that if let's just say, it doesn't matter what area you are. I'm in British Columbia, Tex, you're in Texas, Rob, you're in Michigan. Pick an area, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Okay, let's say that Sasquatch is found in that area. What happens next? We don't just say, oh, well, Sasquatch has been found in this area. No, the government comes in and they shut down the area.
Yeah.
It happened in Oregon where logging crews came across an endangered species of owl.
Yep.
Where they shut down the entire forest to see what the habitation was, what they were feeding off of, where their nests were located. Okay, what was their migratory pattern? Where were they going? Okay, logging crews, okay, whether people are environmental or not, logging crews are necessary. We may not appreciate the practice, especially here in North America, where we want to clear cut everything instead of selective logging like they do in Europe. Okay. And I mean, you look at these super fires that are going on in California, straight up to British Columbia here, where it's nothing to have, 80,000, 90,000 hectares of land on fire at once. That's the size of 80,000 football fields, people. Football fields are not small.
No.
And so what happens is we don't understand the ramifications of what finding one of these creatures does. Okay, so for instance, if you find an area where there's Sasquatch, the government scientists come in, they shut down the area, they end all logging practices, they end camping, they end hunting, they end mining, they end fishing, they end hiking in those areas. They put an end to it effective immediately because now they have to study to find out, okay, what is Bigfoot feeding off of? What is their migration pattern? Are they following deer or elk or moose in and out of the area? Where are they sleeping? Where are they burying their dead? What are they doing with themselves? What's the reaction to bears and cougars and other game in that area? Where are they getting their water supply? Has their water supply been tainted because of chemicals used in mining or whatever? Or have people built campgrounds in that area or cabins? Or how does the road system and the logging road system affect their natural habitat? They shut everything down. Now, up here, for one logging company to give up a contract of logging on Crown land, that's millions of dollars. Let's say they have a crew of 10. Well, you have to pay those people at least $70,000 to $100,000 a year because of the danger pay, and they work all year round in logging, except during during certain times. Okay, so now you have families that are affected. I know logging crews up here whose owners have said, if you see anything like that, shut up. Don't say a thing.
Right.
If you want your job, don't say a thing. If you like your home, your boats, your side-by-sides, your trailer, your vacation to Mexico every year, your $75,000 truck, shut up. Because they know the ramifications of what happens, right? And it isn't about the Smithsonian stealing bodies or the government stealing bodies or anything like that. It has nothing to do with that. This is just simple science. It's like with UFOs. Okay, I asked Luis Elizondo point blank, was COVID a litmus test to see how the public would react in case UFOs and aliens arrived? He said yes. Okay, how are we, if this is the way we acted as human beings during the first stages of COVID, whether you believe it or not? Okay, I'm not debating either side here. But we treated people like morons and we acted like morons. People going into grocery stores, buying 25 bags of toilet paper because for some reason, COVID meant that there was going to be no more toilet paper.
Right.
Or people going in buying $3,000 worth of meat or 10 gallons of milk for 2 people in the house. God, milk goes bad in 10 days. You're drinking a gallon of milk a day?
Right.
I don't do that. Most people don't do that. But the stupidity on how we acted and how we treated each other, ratting people out. Oh, that person doesn't have a mask on and they're walking on a sidewalk. Arrest them. We treated people like shit. Pardon my language. But we did. We treated people like garbage. And don't think that if a real problem came up, I'm not saying COVID wasn't real, but I'm saying something that is going to affect 7.75 billion people on this planet, like aliens coming to Earth. How are we going to treat each other? They want to know how it's going to affect the markets. They want to know how it's going to affect military spending. They want to know, okay, that where there's certain religions who are still partying like it's 1499, all right, they want to know how they're going to react to extraterrestrials landing their craft in the middle of the desert of the Middle East. These are all real questions that we think are funny at this time, but in reality, they pose a real litmus test to some of these mysteries that are going on. And we're not thinking about that. We're not thinking about the consequences of solving. I hope, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I hope Bigfoot never gets found.
Right.
Do I want to see him again? Oh, hell yes. Do I want to have a real close encounter? Like, say, within 20, 30 feet? That's what I pray for. I want to have that happen. Okay. But do I want an area, or do I want to film that next Patterson Gimlin film? No, I don't want it. I just want the experience for myself. I'm sure some people will say, well, that's pretty selfish. Yes, it is. But I really don't want any of these mysteries. What do we do then, guys?
No, Dave, what you said, I'm 1,000% agreeing with everything you said. I personally do not. No, I don't want Bigfoot found. I don't even think I'd want an alien landing, walking out at the White House, right? I'm just thinking about the mass hysterica that would go on in the country. There were people it would be pandemonium, to say the least. And I enjoy doing what we're doing today. I enjoy the mystery, as you said, Dave. I like doing this. And, I suppose if it ever happened, Tex, I guess I'd have to start a sports podcast, right? We just started doing this thing. We're just starting. I love the investigation. I love the mystery. And I did not buy 1 million rolls of toilet paper because I knew I would have had a plumbing problem later. So just to throw that out there. Tex, what was your thoughts on that, man?
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, Dave.
Sure.
Because I'm with you. The whole shutting down the logging and everything. Money's at the root of it. Okay. Panic is at the root of it. But I think the difference would be the government already knows, just like with UFOs, the government already knows that Bigfoot does exist. They know where they're at. They know their habits. They know this. They know everything that we just talked about. But I don't think the government is the ones we have to worry about. I think it's the that would call for all this being shut down. it's the activist. And I'm not saying it would be a bad thing, but I'm also one of these that believe that the national parks were put in place by Theodore Roosevelt for these creatures to give them their space.
Could be.
But I'm not real sure. I'm telling you, I used to, no question, this is what happened. They would shut things down. They would do this. They would do that. Now I'm not so sure, because I believe they already have all this information on the Sasquatch. And I think it would be treated just like disclosures going on with UFOs right now. What happened when the first time they came out and they said, okay, we're admitting that there's UFOs. Man, I'm telling you, I expected every channel on YouTube to absolutely blow up and everybody be talking about this. Oh, it's a revelation, blah, blah, blah. Not even a blip on the radar. Even in mainstream, not even a blip. People were like, we knew it. And just went on about their business. And I think that's what we're seeing with Bigfoot. It took almost 100 years for them to come off of the UFOs going, okay, we admit it. We're about halfway there with Bigfoot. So I think we're looking at soft disclosure here is what we're looking at. Because if you look at the trend, they're treating it the same way they did UFOs. You got all the kids movies coming out. You got all the, all this kind of stuff. You got these arguably mainstream channels, Discovery, Travel, History, all this, the Learning Channel, all this putting out a lot of this information, a lot of these Bigfoot shows, a lot of this stuff. You even got kids movies that are being put out there that addresses the borderline of Bigfoot and humans breeding with the son of Bigfoot. So I think we're going to see the same thing. I don't think we're going to hardly see a blip on the radar when they finally come out and say, okay, yeah. I mean, look, you've got Sasquatch Prudential Park in Canada. When they were questioned about it, why they named it like that, they said it was a joke. You may be able to shed some light on that, because that just floored me.
Guys, I got to take a quick call here. It's
Go
my
right ahead,
daytime.
Go ahead. So we've got that going on. I just really don't think that it's going to be the big explosion and the big aha moment that we all think it's going to be. I think we're not even going to see a ripple in the pond. There's going to be a lot of us going, well, we told you so. The same thing we did with the UFOs. We've been telling you for years. What is, in Independence Day, what happened? I've been saying it for years. Old Randy Quaid, he's a,
Yeah, right.
he's
Oh, for sure. The only thing though, Tex, if let's say that, I think there would be a change though if Bigfoot was found. I mean, found and they had a location, and don't you think that people would be flocking to these forests more than they would, and that would just cause some issues in the forest without a bunch of people that probably don't even spend any time in the woods be running around looking for these things and wrecking it for everybody else. Camping, recreation, things of that nature.
I don't think it would be any more than what we see with everybody, the increase of people looking for UFOs nowadays. I mean, you're going to have your morons. You're going to have your poachers looking to put a head on the wall.
It's kind of more I was steering it toward, right?
But you've got the same thing with the UFO phenomenon. Everybody would love to have an alien autopsy in their basement, you know. So, or not everybody, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I just don't think we would see the big explosion and the big, you know, tsunami of stuff happen
So
because
Dave,
I think it's years from happening, and that's why.
And that's something that we will have to see whether it happens.
Yeah.
I think if anything, the whole alien agenda is going to be the litmus test of everything, and it's going to be something that we have to adjust. Look, the alien story and the UFO story is not going away. It's not going to go away for a long time. It's in front of Congress. You know, the ghost hunters have really taken a real back seat after, 15 years of being number one on television. They've really taken a back seat to everything. And the cryptid hunters, well, we just continue doing our own thing and going about our own business because nobody's really bugging us. Nobody's pressuring us for anything outside of, pressuring the BFRO to actually smarten up and do their jobs correctly. However, that organization doesn't want to seem to do that. And,
yes.
It's really too bad that they've chosen the directions that they've chosen because, with their reporting system and eliminating certain reports because of their own personal beliefs,
Right.
you can't trust their reporting system. You
Yeah.
can't trust their numbers. You can't trust their stories because it's all dictated and predicated on the rules set up. So for people who don't understand, let's say you have a paranormal encounter with a Sasquatch. That report is either going to be A, edited, so that way there's no paranormal encounter in there, or B, it's not even going to be included in their statistics because they don't do woo.
Right.
Yep.
And when you tamper with numbers, now your numbers are flawed.
Yep.
Nothing science, and people need to realize this. And I'm not saying this to be a jerk, but there is nothing scientific about anything the BFRO does because they lie about their numbers. They lie about their reports. They lie about it in order to suit their own system that they have. Okay. If we want transparency, if we want the truth, you can't dictate or predicate science by doctoring numbers. It's all false information and false data.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you a question, Dave. I'm sorry, Rob. Let me ask you a question, Dave. Is this not okay? The BFRO is the biggest database out there right now. No argument there, right? So,
Right.
what if them sanitizing reports is the first wave in what we're seeing on how this is going to be handled?
Well,
does that make any sense?
It does. And I will say this, like when it comes to UFOs, I've said many times on my show recently, we're not into a disclosure movement. We're not looking at disclosure at all. What we are looking for is confirmation. Disclosure means tell everything. Right? Disclosure means that I'm going to tell you everything from Roswell straight up to where we are today. We're not going to hide alien bodies. We're not going to hide information. We're not going to hide landing zones. We're not going to hide any communication that we've had. We're not going to hide sightings or what's ours that's been made. Okay? We're not hiding. That's disclosure. What we are seeing is we are seeing a confirmation of the this portion of the phenomena existing. They're not giving us what we want. Therefore, there is no disclosure. And that's part of the problem. Bigfoot is the same way. With the BFRO editing their own statistics, their numbers are flawed. You cannot trust their numbers. They can argue it all they want until they're blue in the face. The only correct answer is, do you or do you not eliminate certain portions of reports or eliminate all reports because there is a UFO involved, because the creature disappeared, because something ghostly happened? If they say, yes, we do, your numbers are flawed.
Yep.
And
you can't skew things. You can't skew things toward a certain narrative and expect to keep your credibility, in my opinion.
Right.
And the thing about the whole thing too is, as Tex, you mentioned, yeah, probably the biggest database out there, which you can't trust. And actually, confirmation of what you're saying, Dave, is we had the same discussion. At least I didn't. It was on Texas Front Porch. We had Carter Bouchard on, who was with the BFRO, and he brought that to light. Now, I knew about this prior. However, he had brought that to light on our show and gave a nice 15 minutes on what they did. And it just affirms to me that I've always kind of heard all the time. And that's confirmation that they're doing that. And that's just totally for these people that are researchers, for people that are in this field. It's just another monkey wrench. It's just another thing that it impedes progress. And that's the most frustrating thing. If anything I can get out of any of these shows or these people or government or organizations, it's the impeding of the progress. It's almost like taking one step forward, but you're going back 2 steps. And that's the most frustrating thing.
Well, may I add another example? And for people who've been listening to my show, I've been pretty hard on this recently. NASA, okay, claiming that they're getting, about a couple months ago, their head claiming we're getting into the UFO game. NASA has known about the UFO game for 60 bloody years. Okay. They have on record astronauts talking and being interviewed and interrogated about their sightings. These are people that I believe it's around $30 to $50 million to create one astronaut through training and everything that they have to go through, picking the right people. So NASA right now is trying to say, we're getting into the UFO game. We need to learn what's going on here. You've had 60 years. You've had your own astronauts come out and explain what is going on. You've had your own test pilots who've had experiences in space. Why do you not just open up your files? Why do you not check your closet? Don't worry about what the Navy is doing. Don't worry about the Air Force or the military or airlines. Okay? Let's hear from the astronauts who had encounters. Okay? I was shown photos of an Apollo mission, true photos that came out of NASA of an Apollo mission. So this is going back almost 50 years, where there's blue orbs encountering the capsule. Why aren't we seeing those? Do we believe Donna Hare, who used to work for NASA and helped scrub photographs of UFOs and bases on the moon? Right? I mean, and yet you go on Twitter and there are people, yay, NASA. Good job, guys. Let's go after those aliens and life out there. No. Where are the comments of, hey, Bill Nelson, what's in your closet? Hey, Bill Nelson, what's in that filing folder? Hey, Bill Nelson, what's in that chest of drawers over there that says top secret? Mm-hmm. They're lying to the public right in front of our faces, and we get a bunch of UFO idiots out there going, yay, NASA. Good job, guys. We need you in this UFO world. And yet they have the most information.
Yeah.
They've shut down their own astronauts. They have shut down their own engineers. They have shut down their own team members for what they have seen. They're the biggest crooks in this game.
But I mean, isn't that the same pattern we see with anything that's fringe? That, you know, the ones with the most information are the ones that won't talk about it. You know?
Absolutely. But when you go publicly text and announce that you are going to spend $100,000 on conducting a review, now 100 grand is nothing.
Right.
To NASA, 100 grand is like you and I having $10 in our wallet.
Right.
Right. But the fact that they would insult the American public and the world public that, oh, we're going to spend $100,000. It doesn't cost $100,000 to go through your own bloody closet.
Right.
Yeah.
All you do is, if I put it's the same thing. If I put my headphones on to hear better, that doesn't cost me $100,000. It costs me nothing except energy to pick up the headphones and put them on my ears. That's all it costs me. It doesn't cost me money.
Yeah, that comment, as far as, you know, we're going to spend this much money, put this much money into it, that's just placating people. That's all that is. That's a red herring to say, you know, so people can. So honestly, the plants and everything, I think, can go through and go, well, see, they're putting this much money. They're finally doing what we want, because I think that's a lot of what we see. You know. It's like a new restaurant opening, and you're looking at reviews, and you know you have 20 reviews, and they're all 5 stars on this new restaurant. But what they don't tell you is they're all friends and family of the owners.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous, Tex, and yet we're not calling them out, right? There's very few outside of myself who are actually calling out NASA and saying, hey, guys, stop lying. Mm-hmm. I even tweeted it out the other day. The head of NASA, Bill Nelson, had a tweet out with one of the gentlemen who heads the UAP task force, or the new Arrow program. And they were tweeting out how they were talking about unidentified objects. So I tweeted back and I said, I said, hey, Mr. So-and-so, why don't you ask Bill Nelson what's in his closet? It's all you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the worst part about it is the director of NASA, Bill Nelson, he's a former astronaut. He knows. He's got friends who know. Right? It just drives me absolutely nuts.
You know, Dave, I can tell that drives you nuts, and I'm glad that you enlightened all of us on that. And you know what, Dave? I'm guessing that you probably got some things to do. I know you took an important call there.
Yeah.
And you know what? We've come up on an hour and a half, but you know what? An hour and a half of Dave Scott will take any day over 5 hours with some other slappy out there. Dave, man,
let me explain to your audience. I do have a daytime job. Thursdays are supposed to be my day off. I'm one of the bosses at my daytime job, and another department screwed something up. And my owner, when he saw me take the call, that was the owner of where I work. And he's like, I need you to come in and clean this crap up. So I apologize to you, Rob. I apologize to Tex. I promise you, I will make it up to you guys. Okay. And, I hate having to back out. I know we got another half an hour to go, but unfortunately, I got to go where my paycheck goes. And
brother.
I do wholeheartedly apologize, guys, but I got to go throw on some deodorant and brush my teeth. And,
well, like I said,
make myself look somewhat presentable.
Dave, no worries.
You got to put on some pants and do some work.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm going to work in shorts and a t-shirt.
Oh yeah,
telling them that this is my day off.
Exactly. No, for sure, I wouldn't change that. Well, again, we'll take an hour and a half of Dave Scott versus 5 hours over somebody else, right? At least I would. So would Tex. So would our audience. Thanks,
I promise
you
I'll make it up soon. I promise you I'll make it up soon for you.
Dave, appreciate you, brother, and go clean up that mess. Until next time. Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, every Thursday. Tonight, Cereal Papers, me and Jason. Friday, Jessica Jones. Then we start it all over again Monday. See you, Dave. See you, chat. Text, great show. If you'd like to find the button, thank you to everybody that showed up. Love y'all. Subscribe to Texas Front Porch, Spaced Out Radio, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, Suru Papers, Jessica Jones, a Cryptid Huntress. Until the next time, we'll see you on the flip side, I guess.